Lee's Boxing Truth. So I'm here with the first video of a Throwback Thursday. And for my first video, I'm going to talk about Jack Johnson, name known as John Arthur Johnson, born March 31st, 1878, and he's the first black heavyweight boxing champion. And he's from my native state, Texas. He's from Galveston. And Jack Johnson was born to parents that were slaves. So, with that being said, that alone should tell you a lot about this man. Being the son of former slaves, now freed, Jack Johnson was able to have a childhood without dealing with slavery. And matter of fact, he said he grew up around, he had a good amount of white friends who he would eat with, play around with, and he had no problems. He never felt like he was inferior to the white man as he was growing up. Jack Johnson is known to a lot of fighters today as one of the most flamboyant fighters before Muhammad Ali, before Floyd, before all these, outspoken boxers. It was Jack Johnson. And Jack Johnson was known for having white women around him or being married to white women. And this was a very big thing. You're talking about right after slavery, not even 50 years after slavery. You got to figure he was born in 1878, so probably talking about the early 1900s and stuff like that. Jack Johnson describes his mom as a good woman. His dad, both of them worked, so he had both in his family. His dad, he was saying that his dad was his dad must have looked like him, real chiseled up. It was just a man of a man, His dad then went to war. His dad had a messed up leg, but Jack Johnson discovered that he enjoyed boxing. Even packed up everything, went to New York, and was training there, and then got sent back to Galveston, where he became a janitor at a boxing gym, where he bought his gloves, and he continued to spar people, and that was his passion. Who knew that spending how many cents it was for those gloves would land him in a spot where he would see money that his parents could only dream about seeing. And, not knowing that this guy, Jack Johnson, was going to allow for the first great white hope, which was a guy by the name of James Jeffries. So, Jack Johnson was the first black heavyweight champion. And mind you, this could have been a way before. They're saying in 1908 to 1915, he was the heavyweight champion, first black heavyweight champion. But Jack Johnson was chasing people back then, but it was not looked in a good light for a black individual, a black boxer, to fight a white boxer back in those days. So you had racial tensions back then. So they never wanted to see that type of thing go on. So what Jack Johnson did was what we call today is he trolled. He trolled these heavyweights. Talked about them, called them cowards and all kind of stuff. Stuff that would probably especially back then. People would probably threaten and lynch him and do all kind of things. But that just lets you know what type of man Jack Johnson was. He didn't fear that. He wanted to get that heavyweight belt. He wanted to win that heavyweight championship. I don't know if it's belts, but heavyweight championship. So, once he became champion, and he became champion in brutal fashion. I mean, he's knocking the guy down. The guy's not even getting a punch on him. After James Jeffries retired, then it went to somebody else. And, he pretty much, somebody came in the middle while he was trolling him and offered this guy that was the heavyweight champion, who was white, amount of money that he couldn't refuse. Because if he refused it, it would have made him look like he was a coward. So that guy allowed for a fight between him and Jack Johnson. And I don't even believe it was. I believe it was in Cuba. I don't even believe it was in the United States. But that fight, took place. That fight took place, and Jack Johnson became the first black heavyweight. Now after that, people were looking for, the Great White Hope. So what they did was they told James Jeffries to come back out of retirement and beat this guy. We need you to beat this guy. No black man should be holding the heavyweight championship. So James Jeffrey went back into training mode. And, I mean, you can only imagine the pump up of this fight. No social media, nothing like that, just word of radio and pretty much things like that for this fight. So even with that, it's being talked about. It's being talked about everywhere. James Jeffries coming back to fight Jack Johnson and restore order back to the heavyweight division. Because in their eyes, they felt like only a white man should be, heavyweight champion during those times. Okay, so when that fight happened, Jack Johnson won that fight too. So, the only thing to me that slowed it down is when Jack Johnson they put charges on him, federal charges, because I don't want to say trafficking, but he was married to white women, and he's saying that people were saying that he was doing illegal stuff with which was against the law with white women and stuff like that. So, long story short, they know they couldn't find somebody to beat him, so they could do the next best thing is put him behind bars for a year. And so, what Jack Johnson did, he got his bond. And he fled. He fled, and then, he fled for a while. But by July 20th, 1920, he surrendered to federal agents at the Mexican border. And so he had to do his year. He did his year. July 9th, 2019, July 9th, 1921. So a little bit less than a short year. But, Jack Johnson eventually ended up losing, getting knocked out pretty much by a fighter that a lot of people felt that he would have beat, but years passed, not in the same shape, heat and all that stuff, and then sometimes it's just your time. But get this. After that fight, after that was going on, Jack Johnson was also doing exhibitions. Now we just look at it right now, who's doing exhibitions in this time, and that's Floyd Mayweather. I would love to see a series put together correctly about Jack Johnson. I would also like to see a movie about Jack Johnson, the first black heavyweight. And, I believe the series would be great, talking about his early childhood. And the proceeds should go to the Johnson family. Why not? Why not? You still got family around and everything. And it's not that hard to trace because the family's still around. um, yeah, I definitely feel like there should be a movie about Jack Johnson in a series. You know, I mean, we came a long way. We came a long way, and we're better for that now. But regardless of what Jack Johnson went through, he knows he didn't have that type of hatred towards people. You know, he give it to people black or white, but that's just how he was. So with that being said, this is my first video of Throwback Thursday. Please put in the comments, some things that you know that weren't mentioned, and like, comment, subscribe. Lee's Boxing Truth.